Hey, this is Notser, and we're taking a look at the Tier 7 American light cruiser, Helena. We're on the map Neighbors, and this is a companion video along with the Boise. I didn't do an adequate job of comparing them. Hopefully this will make up for it. So the Boise is a premium Tier 7. There are other Tier 7 premium cruisers for the Americans. We have the Indianapolis, which is 203s, also has radar. Obviously the Boise, which is 152s, and then the Atlanta, which is 127. Now, along with all of that, the Boise actually has some relation to Argentina. There's actually a little emblem on the back of the ship, on the stern. And I don't know if Wargaming is going to leverage that any further. I don't know if there's going to be new audio, or you'll be able to have some weird commander that's slightly different. It will be associated with the American Navy, though, so all of your American crew can move into it, but I don't know if there would be a unique commander that came with the ship. I don't know any of that. So, the Helena. What's the difference between the two? Helena, for all intents and purposes, is the same ship. I know it's not the same ship, but in-game the model looks very similar. It's got the 5x3, so 15 152mm guns. It has that weird number 3 turret that exists on the Japanese that you might be familiar with. I referenced Mogami, but Myoko you could also reference as well. And it's going to rotate the opposite direction, which makes it a little bit awkward if you have to maneuver left to right. The gun range on the Helena is superior. The speed of the Helena is superior. And the rate of fire, I believe, is superior. But you are giving up a ton of concealment, and you're not getting access to the radar module. The radar module is ridiculous, right? 10.1 is the best I can get this ship concealed. I'm using a 19 skill commander, the exact same commander as I was using in my Boise yesterday, that has inertia fuse high explosive. It's my Cleveland commander that you've seen in all my other videos recently. And it works great, but it has not as good concealment. And you'll actually see in this game, it actually matters. But you're a little bit faster, so you can avoid the firefight a little bit easier, get into and out of, which is very nice. And the range of the guns allows you to engage a target that maybe would be safe against the Boise. So overall, there is a difference, but I still think that having radar at Tier 7 versus not having any radar is a superior setup. It just allows you to get kills on targets that would normally feel very comfortable. And that was the predominant commentary that occurred with the Boise. I just straight up don't like that we still have premiums at Tier 7 when you've got mainline ships that could easily equip the radar, and it's just not being done. So that's my thought process. I'm sorry. But the Helena. So I have superior range. It is an American light cruiser. It does have the American gun velocity, so you need to try to use the island to your advantage. That will encourage you to play in a certain manner that is predominant among all American cruisers at this point, and especially the light cruiser line. It's just the way it works out. And I don't believe I had the ability to equip a scout aircraft. It really is only a fighter that you can equip. I don't know how much success you would have with a scout aircraft with American gun velocity, but it's very vulnerable to fire, doesn't have a heal. It can easily fire over islands, though, and use that as its protection. And it really does set a ton of fires. So, Helena's working out so far for me. I am opening up just in this particular situation, in the open, no island blocking me, hoping to get a kill on the enemy cruiser. And it looks like we won't be able to. And the enemy left the area, or is dead, yeah. Atago's dead, the York has left the area, so. Doing okay, 26,000, 7 minutes in, more targets. Don't have radar though, so you play it completely differently. I'm not actively looking to run into DDs because they have at least 3 kilometers where I'm detected and they are not. I am hoping that a destroyer is going to maybe make a mistake around an island and I can ambush them. That's my hope. And if that doesn't happen, I'll fire behind islands if the enemy DD, enemy cruiser, enemy battleship show themselves. And this King George, he's visible, obviously. We, unfortunately, shatter on pretty much all the gun with that first salvo. Second salvo should be better. And yeah, it's definitely better. Just forewarning all you British battleships, you are not going to like the American light cruisers. Because you have very soft armor, soft outer layer. We've had this discussion before, but it is true. You sling a lot of HE, but you take a lot of HE damage, and light cruisers are just ridiculous for that. And I was feeling, you know what, this aircraft carrier, he's playing this very interestingly. I think he's going for me. Now, I don't have defensive fire because I'm on North America, and I never expect aircraft carriers, and yet here we are. But she maneuvers quite well. I could drop the speed enough, avoid it completely. Seems pretty good. And the enemy DD apparently decided to get a little close and... oh! Richelieu punished me hard. 50% gone. Engine knocked out. It's a light cruiser. It's an American light cruiser. They are glass cannons. They all are. They all are glass cannons. If a battleship gets your broadside for a split second, be prepared to lose all your health. It's just the way the game's going to punish these light cruisers. But we avoided the torpedoes. The enemy DD conveniently popped his smoke, and he's hiding on it, and we avoid his torpedoes. And I'm getting in range to use my hydroacoustic, so everything's going great. I see that I'm under hydro, and almost the same spotting range. He is a little bit better, and oh man, he's gonna die so fast to a light cruiser. So fast. Smoke means nothing. You are dead. You are absolutely destroyed. 4 and 5K per salvo. You should expect against every DD. It's brutal. It's so brutal. But those battleships, they'll put you in your place. So I think it's fair. I think it's fair that these light cruisers do a ton of damage to DDs because they take a ton of damage. I don't feel like the enemy DD had any... he was unaware of my threat to his life. He saw that I was spotted with his friendly aircraft in the area, you know, from that friendly aircraft carrier. But he still stayed there. Maybe he underestimated that I had hydroacoustic. But we're on North America. There just isn't enough aircraft carriers to justify a defensive fire build at this point. So, his loss, my gain, right? But I'm maneuvering into an island position. Shocker. And I'm going to try and engage the enemy battleships as they're threatening my base. Now, I don't really have that well of a protection right now. You know, this island's kind of awkward. It wouldn't be my first choice, but I'm going to try and help the friendly DDs that are the last line of defense. And as long as I keep the turrets behind the island, the other ones can be visible at this point, because my gun only blooms out to just inside or just outside of the turrets. So the other two battleships were fine. Just gonna keep on going. This is not the exciting part of the American light cruiser line. The fact that they all basically play similar. It's good and bad. It's good that you can develop the skill in the Dallas and apply it to the Helena, and then to the Cleveland, and then to the Seattle, and then finally to the Worcester. It's you know, what you see, what you're gonna get. These impressions, you're not gonna see a lot of difference. There might be slightly more alpha strike potential, better rate of fire, better overall, you know, consumables available to the user, but you pretty much want to try and fire when you're around islands. And here is the instance where I think this gives up compared to the Boise. It's concealment. So I was openly firing, and I should not have been openly firing. and I'm kind of stuck with the island. I don't have the concealment to drop off completely to the turrets, but I would if I had the Boise. And thankfully, there is a kind teammate who decided to give me smoke. Just absolutely, you saved my bacon. I can't thank this guy enough. Great job. I really appreciate it. But that's a little, concealment is a really big deal. And I think the reason they gave the premium good concealment, because if it didn't have good concealment, then it would never be able to use its radar. It does give up a lot for that concealment. Gun range, speed, slightly worse rate of fire, I believe. But radar on a cruiser is ridiculous, right? You will kill targets that you could never possibly kill without radar. So, in this instance, now that the enemy has given up the chase and we're able to freely fire, it works out perfectly. But there are definitely subtleties to these two ships that, yeah, if you owned both of them, you would see a difference and you would enjoy it. But if you were to, say, have the Boise and have the Cleveland, I don't know that there's a lot that's going to be different between the Cleveland and the Helena. I just don't. So, yeah. But we're doing a ton of damage to the turrets. He's, burning down. That's what we are. We're fire starters. We absolutely burn them down, these American light cruisers. I love the Mogami. I love the American light cruisers. I love this playstyle. I'm so happy there's finally a dedicated experience from tier 6 all the way to tier 10. It's not some pick and choose one or two ships here or there. I just love having this kind of damage output. I had a game in the tier 10 where I think I had 100,000 damage in the first 5 minutes. And I will absolutely post that video, but that's how dangerous these ships will be when they're introduced in 7.6. Battleships are not giving as much respect to the ship at this point, and I think that's just out of pure ignorance of the existence. This is probably the first time they've ever played against it. And for most players, they don't, they don't go on the Wikipedia, they don't see the leaks, they don't memorize every little detail about a ship, a new ship or an old ship. They just play the game and they react to stuff they see all the time. You don't see this a lot of times, so I'm not taking the kind of volumes of fire that I would expect the average user to get once they're fully released and people recognize, holy crap, they do so much damage. I mean, look how much damage we've done, and it's been really casual because we've got tons of fires, we have inertia fuse high explosive, and the rate of fire is great. Tons of guns. I'm super excited for this. I really enjoyed the whole experience from the tier 6 to the tier 10. So, Helena works just fine. No issue there. Some people might argue, well, the range is better, but I can't take full advantage of that range. I'd rather take advantage of the smoke that the Boise offers. Well, that's your prerogative, right? I'm just here trying to show it off, and it worked out pretty well. But we didn't get number 1. Friendly Z39. Good job, Friendly Z39. I hope you enjoyed seeing the Helena. I hope this answered any questions you might have had about it versus the Boise. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.